throat is an excellent target with many deadly points. We have stomach 9, which we've already used a couple of times, just above the Adam's apple, as we've said, 1 inch either side of it. Then we have stomach 10, which is just as dangerous. It's not the delayed death touch, but it's just as dangerous as stomach 9, 1 inch below stomach 9, in the same line as stomach 9. Then we have CV22 in the pit of the throat, just there. And also small intestine 16, just where the neck joins the body. All these points are very dangerous and very deadly if struck too hard. The eyes too are an excellent target, but have the natural protection of closing, whereas the throat has no such protection. We have more than 700 points all over the body, mostly along the main meridians, and some very dangerous points along the 2 main extra meridians, the conceptor and governor vessel, strikes to which will affect the 6 main meridians with serious consequences. As well as programming the subconscious with fighting principles, the natural body movement method used in the earlier section will also subconsciously program it with the location of pericardium 6 as a setup point and CV22 as a main point for a knockout or worse. I'll just remind you of that natural body movement method. It was a strike to pericardium 6 followed by... I'll do it fast and then I'll do it slow, just pointing out which areas we're striking. So, we struck pericardium 6 and conceptor vessel, or CV22. That will now be programmed into our subconscious, those points, without us, so we'll never have to think about them. Similarly, as 5 swords is based on natural body movement, it will subconsciously program the subconscious with the location of dim MAC points and other fighting principles through persistent practice. We'll now demonstrate 5 swords with Danny, first at full speed, and then slow it down, pointing out the dim MAC points we're striking, and also other fighting principles, which this training method is programming the subconscious, or the palomammalian with. We'll now go through 5 swords in slow motion, pointing out the dim MAC points. Okay. So as it comes in, the first point we strike is pericardium 6, which you've already seen several times, 4 fingers up from the wrist line. Then we follow through with a strike to either lung 5, which we've already discussed, or heart 3, another very deadly point. Heart 3 is on the other side of the elbow crease. So lung 5 is on top, heart 3 is at the bottom of the wrist line. So either of those 2 points. Then at the same time we're striking, depending on his height, we're either striking spleen 10, just above the knee, or spleen 9, just below the knee. Followed by a strike to stomach 9, which we know well by now. GV26, just below the nose, GV26, CV14, the solar plexus, small intestine 16, which we discussed earlier, which is just where the neck joins the body. Bring him round, strike to bladder 10, which is just 1 inch below the ear and 1 inch either side of the center. That's bladder 10. That's the point that we sometimes see used in films like James Bond films and what have you. It's also a neurological shutdown. In other words, it shuts down the nervous system. We follow that with another strike to GV26, just below the nose, 1/3 down, an excellent knockout point, followed by a strike to the throat, could be a stomach point or CV point, CV22. We then follow that through with a heel strike to CV1, conceptor vessel 1, which is just between the groin and the anus sphincter, and finish off with a strike to gallbladder 3, which is just here, which is a temple. Gallbladder 3 is a temple just here. So that's the point we're striking in 5 swords. We can also, it's also, because it's based on natural body movement, it's also programming the other principles. For instance, as she attacks, attack first, always going at a 45-degree angle, always go forward, and so on. All the other 10 principles.